Hello there, my name is Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm taking you through this no-waste layer cake plan. What you'll need to make this quilt are 2 10-inch squares for cornerstones, so a contrasting fabric. You'll need 16 10-inch squares for your focus. That'll be what you want everyone to see. And then you'll want 10 of your 10-inch squares for sashing, so they should also be a contrasting fabric from your focus fabrics. Now most pre-cuts have 42 squares, so if we're taking away the 28 we're going to use, we'll have 14 left over. Well, 14 plus 14 is 28, so if you had 2 layer cakes, you could make 3 of these quilt tops. I was not set on any particular color scheme. I was simply going through my layer cakes and my 10-inch squares looking for contrast. So after going through them all, I picked this particular layer cake to use. I felt like it had 10 lighter fabrics that I wanted to use for my sashing. And then the focus fabrics, I really liked the colors of these floral prints, and I thought those were going to make great focus fabrics. And then at the very bottom of the stack there are some black florals, and I thought that would be nice for the cornerstones. I will make sure and leave all the cutting instructions in the description of this video. To start, I took 2 of the black floral print 10-inch squares and I cut them into 2.5-inch squares. Next, I took my 10 light fabrics. I stacked them up in stacks of 5 and cut them into 2.5-inch strips. For my 16 focus fabrics, I stacked them in rows of 4, and all I'm trying to do here is make sure 2 of the exact same fabric are not right next to each other. With everything cut out, and you notice this is a no-waste project. There will be no leftover scraps from this project. I took my stack of 10-inch squares and my 2.5-inch strips to the sewing machine, and I simply started sewing to the right-hand side of each 10-inch square, 1 of my 2.5-inch strips. When I got to the end of the 16 squares, I separated the chain. Then every 4th square, I sewed a 2.5-inch strip to the opposite side. Next, it was time to create my 4 rows. I'm simply sewing 2 pieces together, and I'm going to chain all of these pieces. Then once I have 2 blocks together, I'll put 2 blocks together with 2 other blocks to complete each row. And here you see 2 blocks that I've stitched together that are the left side of the row. And then I'm taking the 2 blocks that are the right-hand side of the row, and I'm putting those right sides together and stitching them together to complete the row. Once I had stitched all 4 rows together and separated them, it was time to start sewing my sashing and cornerstones together. Now these are just additional rows in the quilt. We're making them almost the same way we made the previous rows. I'm going to stitch a cornerstone to a piece of sashing, and I'm going to chain them all. I'm going to chain all the ones that I need. With 16 completed, I'm taking 2 of them and stitching them together to create a unit of 2. Then I will stitch a unit of 2 together with another unit of 2 to make 4. Now you might have realized we're going to need a piece of cornerstone on the left hand side of the row. I realized since this row is so long, while it's still under the needle, I can go ahead and add my cornerstone to that left-hand side, and then when I'm finished, I'll have all of the rows, the separation rows, complete. I think the method of doing this, sewing on that cornerstone to the left while the row is still under the needle, it only works here because this row is so thin. It's only 2.5 inches tall. With a nice wide row, it doesn't work as well because it's too hard to manipulate flipping that around. So I'm going to use my clips here when I'm putting the first sashing row together with a quilt block row. What I'm going to be doing is nesting seams. So I'm going to make sure one set of seams is going one way, one set of seams is going the opposite way. I'm going to use my fingers to feel and make sure they are nesting together. I'll put that clip in and then I'll open that up and just double check that it's lined up correctly. Now I only use clips on this first pass to show you that if you're worried about matching, you can do that. On the rest of the rows, assembling the rest of this quilt top, I did not use clips. This pattern goes together really well. It's so easy to do. I was just matching up these seams as I approached the needle. Well, this quilt top was so easy to do, and it only took me 90 minutes. That's 90 minutes. It's so fast, so easy, and so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this free tutorial. I'll leave measurements in my description. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you back again real soon.